So, much like my 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Standard 60s, I wanted to do a 1 year later video on my 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Standard 50s. I bought the gold top, and I really liked this guitar. I didn't really have too much bad to say about it. The only thing that really I didn't like about it was the pickups. I have no problems with the Pro Bucker 2 and 3 that are in the Epiphone Standard 60s model, but the Pro Bucker 2 and 1 that are in this model, I didn't like them. I don't like the Pro Bucker 2 as a bridge pickup. It's just a little, I don't know, it always seemed kind of wimpy, if that makes sense to me. I got some pretty heavy sounds out of it, but I was quad tracking the guitar parts and stuff like that. So I mean, there was some layering and using some overdrive and stuff like that just to get the sound to where I wanted it to be. So it's not that you couldn't get heavy sounds out of this. In fact, one of my most popular Sunday with Ola videos, I used this guitar in its stock setup. But as time went on, I found myself playing it less and less. I still liked the guitar. It just wasn't resonating with me when I played it. It just didn't have the punch that my other guitars did. And I know people are going to be like, well, you put active pickups in your other guitars. Not all of them. The Standard 60s, for example, is still original. It has passive pickups in it. And I didn't really want to put active pickups in this guitar. I wanted to keep them passive. I started exploring options because I'd tried some Seymour Duncans and I didn't have luck with any other than the Invader that seemed to jive with how I play in my setups and stuff like that. And I didn't want to put an Invader in this. So I'd been looking in the Dylan pickups and it was looking like the 8-ball was going to be the way to go. Higher output than his center punch pickup, but not quite. I mean, it wasn't as hot as like an Invader or anything like that. And you know, reading the description, it really seemed like it was where I wanted to go with this, with the sound that I wanted out of this guitar. So I ordered them. I ordered a match set, and they're expensive, but they're made in the USA and they're hand wound. So I wouldn't say they're any more expensive than a good set of name brand pickups cost roughly the same as these pickups did. So I ordered them. They communicate very well with you. They tell you, you know, we received your order. They tell you when they ship them, everything like that. It took about 2 weeks from the time I ordered them to the time they showed up. They showed up packaged well, and these things look nuts. High quality, just looking. I almost didn't want to touch them because I didn't want to get them all fingerprinty with my dirty little dick beaters. At least on the pickups with covers, he engraves them, which is pretty cool, a nice little touch. My OCD did kind of kick in a little bit because when I installed them, he engraves the bottom right corner of the pickup. So when you actually install them, they're opposite of each other, which probably wouldn't bother most people, but like I said, it just kind of like my OCD, it just like fucks with it. Easy to install. His wiring is right there on his website. It's kind of cool. They give you a little note like these pickups were hand wound, and mine were hand wound in Madison, Wisconsin, which I thought was pretty cool. But I installed these pickups, and outside of the Switchcraft jack that I put in last year, swapping out the pickguard for a black pickguard. I just like the look with the cream rings and the black pickguard. And then I put black and gold bell knobs on instead of the ones that came with the guitar. That's pretty much it. I mean, as far as playability and stuff like that, the guitar's fine. You know, someday maybe a Tone Pros bridge. But for the time being, I didn't change out any hardware, so all I really changed out was the pickups, the Switchcraft jack, or the Switchcraft switch, and the control knobs. So now the big question is, how does it sound? Amazing. Best passive pickups I ever bought. Hands down. These things, they give you exactly what he says they're going to give you. For what I like, or for what I was looking for, this gave me, you could definitely play heavy metal on these, no problem. Plenty of output, but they retain a ton of clarity. You don't get that muddiness. You don't get any loss of definition whatsoever. Neck pickup sounds incredible, but the bridge pickup, for me, is what really shines because it just slices through the mix. You don't lose anything. You can layer guitar upon guitar, and you're going to hear every note. Anytime I want to put a different set of passive pickups into a guitar, I would say without a doubt I'm probably going to go with Dylan pickups because these things kick ass. And instead of just going on and on about it, let's just hear how they sound. So that's basically my Epiphone Les Paul Standard 50 a year later. As far as the construction of the guitar goes, it's held up. Nothing, like I said, I didn't feel any need to change the hardware. It's still got the original tuners on it. They work well. The neck, when the weather changed, I had to adjust the truss rod a little bit, but I mean, normal stuff, from winter to summer and summer to winter, but no sharp fret ends, no high frets or anything like that. I mean, this thing's just as good now as it was the day I bought it. But now, I mean, technically it's even better because I upgraded stuff on it. The electronics in these Epiphones, they used to leave a lot to be desired, but I mean, as far as they're using CTS pots and things like that, you don't really need to mess with the pots anymore. I mean, I know a lot of guys like to do the 50 style wiring or the Jimmy Page thing or whatever, but I'm not that kind of guitar player. I changed the I put the Switchcraft jack in because I bought it at the same time that I bought the one for the Standard 60. I had an Amazon gift card. I didn't know what to buy, so I just bought 2 Switchcraft switches and stuck them in these guitars because the Epiphone's kind of notorious for having switch issues. They get a little crackly. 9 times out of 10 you clean them and the problem goes away, but I figured, you know what, why not? And putting these pickups in, which was the best decision I ever made as far as this guitar goes. Do you have to do what I did to my guitar to yours? No. Judging from the Epiphone group that I'm in on Facebook, there's plenty of people that are completely happy with the Pro Bucker 2-in-1 that are in the Standard 50 models. They just weren't for me, and they needed to go. And these Dylan 8 balls, they have the heft and the low end that I want, but they have the clarity that I need. And as far as passive pickups that I've tried, man, I should have just bought these when I originally thought about it, instead of buying the Seymour Duncans that I bought and didn't like and ended up selling and things like that. I could have just bought these, done this 6 months prior to when I actually did do this, and I would have found a great set of pickups and made this guitar suit the needs that I needed it to suit much sooner. This thing, man, I love it. And unless by some chance I ever decide that I'm going to spend the money on a Gibson gold top, I don't see myself getting rid of this thing. It looks great, plays great, and now it sounds absolutely killer. If you guys, anybody out there bought these, if you still have them, what do you think? And I know some of you guys really like the pickups. I know I could have lowered the pickup and turned the screws and stuff that was suggested to me, and I don't. That's a lot of screwing around. It's easier just to pull the pickup out and put a new one in, And it still wouldn't have solved the output issues. It just, the Pro Bucker 2 in the bridge position just didn't have the balls that I was looking for. Other than that, like I said, anybody that's got these, if you've held on to it, did you leave it stock? Did you change anything? If you did change anything, what did you change? Stuff like that always interests me. Let me know in the comments below, and if you can also rate and subscribe while you're there, it would be greatly appreciated because it helps me out, it helps you out, it shows you other content that's like this that you may like, and everybody wins. So again, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you in the next one.